People of Splat Source, it is I, the Antichrist for this community known as Joxic, and like with the Brian follow-up video, you'll have to mind the lack of editing as I just wanted to share this to the community, something that a few people have actually asked me about, that being the now disbanded group known as the Professionals. Before I start, I want to clear up some things in the Mario Cooper video as it was missing a few parts and I mentioned the Professionals' connection with me. To quickly clarify, this was recorded before the incident actually happened, around I would say April, and my apologies that some of the video is actually missing. You also might need to mind the lack of evidence in this video since the source for it all has been either voice calls that I just didn't record at the time or have been lost in the depth of the internet and Discord. Anyways, let's speak about the Professionals. So, I became aware of the Professionals after them getting some notoriety by talking about some major issues in the community, mainly Loot House, Theta X, and the shitshow couple known as Alpha Swan and T Zelda. But it wasn't until I uploaded the Brian Jackson video where I started to make a connection with them and a better connection with some of my peers who watch my stuff. This group was founded by Jared and Eric Gaming but expanded to 5 members by the time of the disbandment, that being Jared, Eric, Stormy Senpai who's helped me out with previous videos and is a real one, Ten Rayman being a close friend of both Jared and Eric, as well as Lily who's been an amazing friend and supporter for the last few months for both the group as well as myself, so I'd like to give you my thanks to her. I'm not going to be focusing on the other 3 since all of them are pretty chill with me. I just want to focus on those 2 who founded the group, mainly Eric. Now, Jared for the most part was pretty chill every time I spoke with him, and overall I never really had any problems with him as I've known him before and as he's watched some of my previous videos. He was always pretty collective during recordings and outside the videos as well. The most I did outside of recordings was just chatting, sending memes, and playing some Smash Bros with him since both of us playing together were like titans clashing with each other every time we played. I would say the same about Eric, but there were just some massive fucking issues I had with him. Eric was like that main man for the video. He was very vocal both in his videos as well as off camera, which definitely made him a character that made him stood out. However, there was just so many things that he did off camera that made him stand out like a sore thumb, and some shit that made me and my friends really uncomfortable. There are many examples why he did this. It's because Eric has this massive ego trip. He wouldn't listen to people who were below him when it came to certain issues they had with him or roast on him. He was extremely defensive and would just completely reject people's wishes when they've expressed that what he did made them uncomfortable. Such as some of my female friends feeling uncomfortable being shipped with me when we just wanted to be friends. Quite frankly, I don't really care that it happened to me, but it only stopped once I said that it made them uncomfortable, and it made me uncomfortable due to how excessive it was, which fed into my thought that he only complies with those who are above him and dismisses those who are below him, which is just really a dick move. Looking back, I was just genuinely concerned if he saw clout in his own gain of ego as a drug, as basically everything he did was dominating his status over others when his status has literally been spoon-fed by those who brought him up, that being Jared and me. I don't know. His dominant status of showing he's above everyone else just didn't resonate with my attitude that views everyone on an equal playing field and not creating a power hierarchy. That being said, there was some good that did come out of Eric, such as some chats that we've had and some good moments playing some Smash Bros. Other than a few issues I had with Eric, a few people rubbed me the wrong way, everything was going great in that server that they ran. I was getting fed information almost daily about any news to cover, a lot of people were joining the server with the amount of big names joining, and I started to build a much better connection with some of my peers and met some awesome people through that server. Eventually, Eric wanted me as part of his videos and I basically became a glorified member for their channel. I'd say when they were first starting out, they were discussing about some well-known issues that definitely deserve some coverage, such as the previous videos on Loot House, Alpha Swan, and T Zelda, Octo Luna, and Theta X, just to name a few. But looking back, there were just some that just seemed pointless, I guess. Like, previously you were discussing about some of the most well-known issues that were a genuine concern to a community, and then you talk about people who aren't really considered as a threat. I know that Eric called most of the shots when it comes to the video, so good on you for copying the same idea that I did with BJ, but then turn around and talk about a defender of BJ that barely had more than 10 subscribers. By all means, that video was entertaining to do, hearing Ghost of Time literally go Super Saiyan, but why are you dedicating an entire video on someone who is barely even known or even be considered as a threat? This approach is just kind of like Leafy in my opinion. Instead of someone like H3H3 who made satirical videos bashing people who were leagues above him known as punching up, Leafy on the other hand just went after those who were just vulnerable and had less subscribers for him so his ravenous fanbase can attack them. That's how I genuinely felt doing that video and watching the Adrian video, because literally anyone can go and bash on people smaller than them. Hell, I can even do that now. When you're the apex predator on the food chain, why go for the least threatening thing as your prey? Speaking of videos, if there's one thing I can applaud them on is how much notoriety they got at such a small amount of time, because I would completely condemn their choices when it came to the actual videos, because good God was it appalling. I'm not really the one who listens to podcasts since the videos I do and watch demands your attention, but even then, just the entire process of the video just came off very, and I hate to say this, unprofessional. Ask yourself this: are you willing to sit down and watch a concise video that has a lot of vital info fed to you in a consistent structure, or are you wanting to watch a video that has the length of a movie with barely any editing, people stumbling, filler, and the evidence is just all over the place? The videos on their own were just really lazily put together and overall just really hard to watch. I know the reasoning was that Jared, being the editor, had college and balanced out other personal things, but I'm also in the same boat. I balance being in school, art, music lessons, scouts, and having a part-time job, and yet I still produce these videos for you all. In the 2 years that I've been a part of this community, I've made 11 videos. They did 19 in less than 6 months. How? Eventually, laziness will become the key factor for the next few events that unfolded. I also forgot to bring up the fact that a few weeks before the incident, I was told that Eric was previously known as a ghost, which was a problem that my friend Storm and the team Persistence had to deal with last year. I never knew this beforehand, and Storm never mentioned it to me since he thought I already knew that beforehand, but ever since I was told that, I kept my distance from Eric. If you want a bit of background on him, I'll link this video by Storm, who exposed him for some very manipulative behavior and just overall just being a cunt. But back to the issue at hand. The fate of the professionals came with their 19th episode on Annalena, and to be honest, on paper, this is the perfect idea since the issue was quite new. It was a topic that needed some serious coverage, as the actions that Anna committed left the person who was beloved by this community dead. So to say that this video was going to be big and hopefully set the record straight on how serious mental health and losing someone to suicide is would be an understatement. However, worrying about how it will impact the community on a positive note should have been their least concerning thing. What they should have worried about was committing a literal crime. Never in my life have I seen someone mess up so spectacularly by accidentally sharing CP uncensored, and never have I seen someone that's literally illegal to possess be handled and managed so poorly. The video was swiftly taken down, and in all honesty, they probably could have bounced back from it, but if it wasn't for Eric's childish behavior after being caught in literal 4K, I sadly wouldn't have been in this position. I woke up when this all happened because I'm in a different time zone, and looking back at it all, if I had the same mindset as I have now back then, boo fucking who, Eric. People have the fucking right to be fuming towards you and send their complete dissatisfaction for committing a crime. And to be fair, I'm surprised that you and Jared weren't punished further. So to say that you dodged a bullet is saying something. And I feel this would be the perfect time to mention that during this recording of that said video, since I was in the second part of the video, he wished that Anna would be, which every single one of us in that recording session showed disapproval of him saying that. I just want to put that out there. However, at the time, I said I would help both of them get through this mentally, and both of them agreed for me to do so. Both of them shared an apology for the massive mistake that they have caused, which came through mismanagement. I don't know how true that is. The server was shut down a few hours after the incident, and a few days later, the channel was renamed Disbanded and deleted every video that they've made. After the disbandment of the group, I predicted that the fate of both Jared and Eric were going to be completely different. One was going to continue flourishing while still holding on to that massive guilt on their shoulders. The other shall remain a poltergeist. Boy, was I not wrong. Jared took the situation very fucking seriously and announced the disbandment and departure of the group, since it was either that or being arrested. Anyone in his shoes would have taken that opportunity without a second thought. He took his stance in a very serious matter, and in full faith can take this as a near-death experience. He's still very active on his main YouTube channel, and overall, he's doing well for himself. I think the message he left on what his family said, being, "You're a YouTuber, not a reporter," cannot be any more truthful. To me, I think Jared will continue to push himself into YouTube's algorithm, and I genuinely wish him the best in the future. Do I agree with what he did and will defend him? No, of course not. But we can all hope for is that he does not repeat history again. I'm still helping him to this day, and honestly, if you're watching this, bro, I hope the best for you. I would say the same with Eric, but it seemed that even though both of them connected with each other very well, they connected in a yin and yang with completely different attitudes towards the situation. Now, as I mentioned previously, Jared took a step back approach, surrendering as he understood the consequences of not complying. Eric decided to go head on, with many people who shared their disapproval with what they displayed. I just find it hilarious that he kind of blamed other people such as General Salty and DJ Swaggy for something they never did in the first place. I know that in the end of the day, Eric's reasoning was that he didn't realize his mindset at the time, but there's the simplicity of just walking away from the commuter and responding to it when you're not in the heat of the moment, since in this case, it backfired exponentially. And if I'm being honest, I would have continued helping him get over this, but if it wasn't for blatant hypocrisy, feeling extremely overwhelmed the day before I cut ties with him, and using me as a shield to defend him from deserved criticism and backlash, I wouldn't have made this video. This line of text, this right here, tipped me over the edge. Everything I'm showing you right now wanted me to literally punch a wall on how idiotic and hypocritical this message was. I mean seriously. Adults not acting their age? Fucking rich coming from you since you're 18 and acting like a whiny baby the moment you caught in literal 4K. People who want to be friends with you because you're popular. Don't even get me started, as your success has come from other people who put blood, sweat, and tears to get where they are today. You did it with persistence, you've done it with Jared, and you've drawn the line by using me as a shield against a crime you've committed. I know that there's a reason why you made that group in the first place, but ask yourself this. If you didn't do it with Jared, were you going to do it with someone who was in the same wavelength of notoriety as you? I don't think so. And lastly, people thinking they're above you, which I guess people have a fucking right to be above you since you're back to square one. You were once a big fish in the small pond, and now, all you are is a small fish in the ocean. By any means, this is not a cancellation on either of them, and especially on Eric. I don't know the guys in real life, maybe they're both decent human beings in their personal life, but on the internet, Eric is nothing but a cultural tumor in this community, and I want this video to be a public reminder on the type of person Eric is, as he is still very active, and I think through my experience and other people's own experience with him, he has definitely left a mark, but not in a good way, as he's become the one thing he swore to destroy. I do find it funny that when I told him that he should have kept his previous name Ghost since it will reflect on him in the long run, he showed disapproval of it, yet decided to change it to Ghost like a few weeks later. I guess if you ask, you shall receive. I also think I can reiterate this statement about drama groups again, that while they can leave a lasting impact on this community as a whole, they'll never last long. It's happened to Team Downfall, who couldn't have chosen a more fitting name, and it's happened yet again with the Professionals for being very unprofessional. So if any future groups blossom anytime soon, I shall twiddle my thumbs waiting for their inevitable demise. You either die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain. Cannot get any more comedical knowing the fate of the Professionals.